And now, WWE Network presents Royal Rumble Kickoff.
Oh, the countdown is on. The road to WrestleMania 35 officially begins here live tonight in Phoenix, Arizona. We are at Chase Field, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Over 40,000 fans from the WWE Universe will be here tonight. It's the most unique, it's the most exciting night of the entire year. It's the Royal Rumble, streaming live on the WWE Network. I tell you what, I love this night so incredibly much, as does all of us here that get to be a part of it every single January. Good evening. I am the coach. Over the course of the next 2 hours, it's a supersized kickoff show. We will get you set for a night that you will not soon forget, and undoubtedly will set the tone for 2019 for many WWE superstars. Let's get to know our panel here tonight. Royal Rumble veterans, WWE Hall of Famers. Let's start with the man in the middle, Mr. Booker T.
He said, let's get to know. Look, they already know. Listen to it. Listen to it. They know who I am. Five-time champ. And we about getting ready to rumble, baby.
All right, and to my immediate left, she was a part of the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match, Beth Phoenix.
Royal Rumble is so near and dear to my heart. I'm so excited to be here. But speaking of royalty, look at the royalty on this panel. This is incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
It doesn't.
Awesome. I appreciate that intro.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Booker,
Wow, Booker.
and also,
Do we have issues? All right, and on the very end, the one and only WWE Hall of Famer. Now, Kenny, let me ask you, do you have any special memories, one in particular, of the Royal Rumble match?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I've been in 4 Royal Rumbles, and I think one of my favorites was Booker, when the two kings, you and I, teamed up to eliminate Michael Cole. You remember that?
Baby.
We got Michael Cole out of the Royal Rumble one year.
He wasn't undefeated that night.
That's right. I think many would say getting Michael Cole eliminated any time is a good thing.
Michael Cole is like clouds. Whenever they disappear, it's a beautiful day.
Also part of the show here tonight, David Otunga will be here later, and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, will be here live on the set as well. Well, it's streaming live tonight, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on the WWE Network. If you're not a subscriber yet, what are you waiting for? It's very, very simple. Go to WWENetwork.com. It is free for new subscribers. And in addition to the Royal Rumble, in 3 weeks' time, it's WWE Elimination Chamber. And that night, history will be made. For the first time ever, we will crown WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. But that's in 3 weeks. We've got business to attend to here live tonight. Let's start with the WWE Championship. AJ Styles, he held this title for over a year. He is desperate to get it back. But Daniel Bryan says this is his time. It is his title. And he's not about to walk out here tonight, not the WWE Champion.
Well, let me tell you this. It's what tonight is all about. The 30-man Royal Rumble match. But I got some big news. Big news. Listen to this. Due to injury, John Cena will not be competing in tonight's Royal Rumble match. But we can now announce and tell you that Braun Strowman is in tonight's Royal Rumble match.
and the excitement at Chase Field keeps getting bigger as the man comes to town. And Becky Lynch has her sights set on regaining the SmackDown Women's Championship as she challenges the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka.
SmackDown Tag Team Championships on the line, guys, and I smell it. Here comes the money. Shane McMahon and The Miz takes on the Bar, guys, and I know what it's like tagging with Shane. This one's gonna be good.
Let's talk about the huge Women's Royal Rumble match for the second time in history. 30 women will do battle to earn a championship opportunity at WrestleMania.
And now, let me tell you this, the Beast Incarnate is back. Brock Lesnar, along with Paul Heyman, will put the WWE title on the line against none other than Finn Balor tonight.
Royal Women's Championship match tonight here at the Rumble. Ronda Rousey, guys, in the ring, and she has been awesome since making her debut, awesome since winning the championship, but tonight may be her toughest test against Sasha Banks.
Booker T, it's hard to believe that it's been 1 year since Ronda Rousey made her debut a year ago at the Royal Rumble in Philadelphia. She's had quite the 12 months. Will that title reign end here tonight? With plenty more on the Raw Women's Championship, let's send it over to Charlie Caruso and JBL.
Hey, thank you so much, Coach. Wow, what do you know, JBL? We are here. It is the first stop on the road to WrestleMania, and the energy here at Chase Field is incredible. Look at these people. All I hear is JBL.
You brought your own cheering crowd with you. I
They're
don't
all
blame
for
you.
you. They're all for you. I know that you have some wonderful memories of Royal Rumble in the past. Can you talk about your favorite one?
Of course I can, but when I first got on that panel it took King and Booker to throw Michael Cole out of the Royal Rumble. What the hell is wrong with those two Hall of Famers? Look, there's been some incredible iconic moments. Stone Cold sitting on the turnbuckle, tapping that imaginary watch. Who's next? Roman Reigns eliminating almost half the Royal Rumble. You have Kofi Kingston defying the laws of physics. There's so many things that go on this road to WrestleMania. We're getting started, and I'm excited.
Absolutely, some incredible moments in the history. I know tonight will be no different. Definitely going to make some new memories and a lot of themes we see in and out of WWE matches and events. And tonight, I think one of the biggest ones is respect, and we're especially going to see that in the Raw Women's Championship match tonight between Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey.
She's so high on her own hype instead of hungry with a desire to be better today than she was yesterday and better tomorrow than she is today. That's the difference between a boss and a champion. And at the Royal Rumble, I'm going to show her that the boss has to answer to somebody, and that's me, Ronda Rousey.
You can stop trying to tell the world that I'm a worthy competitor, because the world already knows that I am. I earned my opportunity against Nia Jax. I made her tap out, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do to you at the Royal Rumble.
All right, JBL, you know, we talked about respect. What do you think? Is Sasha Banks right when she says that Ronda Rousey does not have respect for the Raw Women's locker room?
No, she is not right. Ronda Rousey, any type of person comes in from another field where she's been very successful or he's been very successful, they come in, there's automatically people that don't like that, people that claim it's a lack of respect. I think Ronda Rousey brings great respect to the Women's Championship. I think Sasha Banks does as well. To me, this is going to be one hell of a matchup.
What about when she says that Ronda skipped the line ahead of everyone else who's been working so hard to earn this spot?
Tough luck. Call it ambulance, okay? Those things happen. Ronda Rousey comes in as one of the greatest, maybe the greatest combat sports athlete of all time, especially among women, the greatest MMA draw of all time. So she needs to skip the line. Now, what she does at that point is based upon merit. And what her merit that she has made her champion, and that's what Sasha Banks needs to take from her if she wants that same respect.
Well, I know that Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey have both been readily preparing for this match, putting every spare moment they have into getting ready for tonight. Our digital platforms have been following them. Sasha was training with Charlotte, the PC, earlier this week, so she should hopefully be prepared for what she's going to face in Ronda Rousey tonight.
She should be prepared. Look, when all things are being equal, I think you handicap strength versus strength. And both these young ladies have an incredible cardiovascular threshold. They also are great wrestlers. I think the difference is Ronda Rousey is much more physical and a stronger person. And I think that's going to make the difference in this match.
All right, JBL, thank you so much. Coach, let's send it back to you in the panel.
Charlie, thank you very much. Let's continue the discussion here. And Beth, I want to start with you. And when you talk about these big moments, when you talk about these big nights, and the Royal Rumble certainly is that, Ronda Rousey has been able to step up many, many times, as has Sasha Banks. When you look at that aspect and how big this night is, what do you expect to happen?
You know, I appreciate everything that JBL said. You know, Ronda Rousey, there's no argument that Ronda is an elite athlete. She's an Olympian, and she has blown the doors off of the women's division since coming here. But I got to say, sometimes it comes down to the hungriest dog in the fight. I've known Sasha Banks since she was 16 years old, and I think that she wants this more than anything. I think at the Royal Rumble, we're going to see an upset. We're going to see Sasha Banks win.
Hey, King, quickly, what do you make of what Beth just said?
Well, I mean, I'm a little shocked, to be honest with you. I don't know. It could happen. Anything can happen in a match between Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey, but I don't know. I'm just like what JBL said. Ronda Rousey has proven so many things since she came to the WWE, and I'm going to stick with Ronda Rousey.
It goes like this. Game recognize game, man. Talent recognize talent. Since Ronda Rousey stepped in the WWE, leave her her MMA record behind, she has stepped up, man. She has been unstoppable. Almost like a Hakeem Olajuwon back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. And it's been a full year. It's time, I think, to move on from that background and recognize that she has continually, week after week, day after day, proven herself here in the WWE. You don't have to wait until 7 Eastern to get action here on the Royal Rumble kickoff show. Well, because of this, how about the Fatal 4-Way?
Oh, yeah.
For the Cruiserweight Championship, Buddy Murphy, Kalisto, Kira Tozawa, Hideo Itami. You don't want to miss the action that's going to start well before the actual pay-per-view begins at 7 Eastern. And how about this? Another championship match. The United States title is on the line. Rusev, Shinsuke. Rusev is as organically a popular champion as you will ever find. Will that continue after tonight? We'll find out right here on the Kickoff Show.
I am much more than a pretty face. And a perfect smile. And great hair. And a killer body. I mean, just ask Naomi. I went after Naomi's husband, Jimmy, because I knew it would drive her crazy. I mean, and she deserves it.
I know you don't actually like Jimmy, Manny.
Well, I mean, obviously, I am way out of his league. But tonight is the perfect night to open all doors in my career. What I've been waiting for. Main event, pay-per-view posters, talk shows, and all it takes is one win in one night.
And tonight, it doesn't matter what your last name is. It doesn't matter how many main events we've been a part of. Because tonight, everybody has an equal opportunity to put their hair up and square up and go on to headline WrestleMania.
That's right. And when there's 29 other women, it's really nice to know that there's one person that has my back.
Until she doesn't.
Until she doesn't.
Interesting. It's hard to put those two not into the favorite category when you're talking about the 30 women Royal Rumble here tonight. You see the clock continues to count down. We are under a minute 50 from the start of the Royal Rumble here tonight. More breaking news here on the Kickoff Show. Let's send it backstage to Kayla Braxton.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, moments ago, Drake Maverick informed me that he spoke with Mr. McMahon about the addition. Oh, excuse me, Drake, would you care to share with the WWE Universe about your conversation with Mr. McMahon?
It's gonna have to be quick. I am the 205 Live General Manager, and I'm very much looking forward to the WWE Cruiserweight Championship being defended later on the Kickoff Show. But I'm also the manager of AOP, and I have their best interests in heart. Akam is injured, but Razar of AOP, he very much wants to be one of the Raw Tag Team Champions again. I also was informed by Mr. McMahon that so does the Revival. So we've been given an opportunity, an unconventional one, but a welcome one. This opportunity is Razar of AOP teaming with Scott Dawson of the Revival. Now, I know it sounds different, but an opportunity like this, if this team wins, that means both the Revival and AOP could be in line for a future Raw Tag Team title opportunity down the road. Razar's all in on this. I hope Scott Dawson is as well. Can you hold this for me? Thank you.
All right, that is quite the breaking news. I don't know. Do you think there is even the slightest possibility, King, that Scott Dawson could be in line with this plan here tonight?
Not one bit of a possibility. Not going to happen. Absolutely not.
But these two, when you talk about these two tag teams, they don't like each other.
Nope.
We know that the Rival doesn't respect the AOP, and to put them together, I don't know if this has a chance of working whatsoever.
No. I mean, it's hard enough to form a strategy when you know somebody, you work with them, you're on the same page. Being thrown into a combination like that, I'd say that's a recipe for disaster.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Drake Maverick, this guy's a shot caller. He's a smart dude. You see the cranium on this guy? I mean, if you just looked at him from a photo, you think he was 6'8". The guy is smart. He knows what he's doing.
I just can't understand it. That accent is way over the top.
All right, well, plenty more on that breaking news coming up here on the Royal Rumble Kickoff Show. By the way, I said a minute 50 is an hour 50.
Yes.
So we got plenty more time to come. The Royal Rumble is the most unique night of the entire year. The Royal Rumble match Well, to prepare for it is like preparing for nothing else the entire year. But at the end of the day, at the end of the night, we know that the Royal Rumble match, it's all about the numbers.
The Royal Rumble, the epitome of opportunity, outlasts the competition to secure a championship match on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania.
The brilliance, the elegance of the greatest event in live entertainment, WrestleMania!
The road to WrestleMania begins here at the Royal Rumble. The rules are simple. 30 competitors enter, each tasked with tossing the others over the top rope. If your 2 feet hit the floor, you are eliminated. A fact that Kofi Kingston has done his best to circumvent over the years.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen! He saved himself!
Since its inception, this spectacle has had a total of 1,010 competitors, with 97% of those entrants finding their 2 feet on the floor before the night was through. Of those 976 eliminations, 43 have come at the hands of Kane, a cumulative Rumble record. The distinction of most eliminations in a single Rumble event, however, belongs to the monster among men, Braun Strowman, as 13 men got those hands at last year's greatest Royal Rumble. Amazingly, only 26 individuals in WWE history have the honor of calling themselves a Royal Rumble victor. 6 have managed to pull off this monumental feat twice. And Stone Cold Steve Austin did it an astonishing 3 times.
Oh, hell yeah!
So what's the key to winning the Royal Rumble and writing your ticket to WrestleMania? Some would say it's all about endurance. How long can you last? Certainly, you'd hope to at least get in the ring.
Oh! Oh my God, what the heck? I can't believe what I just saw! Oh my God! Did that really happen?
Once you do, you'll need to go longer than Santino Marella, who lasted a single solitary second.
I wasn't ready! I wasn't ready! Oh, I'm going back in!
But are you ready to rumble for over an hour? In 2006, Rey Mysterio held on for an incredible 62 minutes and 12 seconds to win the Rumble.
He did it! Rey Mysterio did it!
The longest time in history for a winner. However, last year, Daniel Bryan shattered that time, lasting over 76 minutes, only to come in 3rd at the greatest Royal Rumble. And over on the women's side, Sasha Banks was the original Iron Woman, spending more than 54 minutes in the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble, only to end up in 4th. Others believe to win the Rumble, you need a little luck, as in how late a number did you draw? Carmella and R-Truth are certainly hoping so. As winners of the Mixed Match Challenge, they will be entering at number 30. And while it's true that 23 winners have emerged by entering in the last 10 spots of the Rumble, only 3 winners have done so from the very last entry. So is it endurance or luck? The truth is, you need them both. This year, the 32nd annual Royal Rumble event heads to the Valley of the Sun, where for the first time ever, the Royal Rumble will emanate from Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. And 40,000 members of the WWE Universe will witness history as 2 rising stars will overcome the odds and become immortalized.
We got the power. Touch the lightning. Come on now, we got the power. We got the power.
60 superstars, 2 Rumble matches, the opportunity of a lifetime. The road to WrestleMania begins at the Royal Rumble.
And guys, what an amazing analysis of all the statistics surrounding this incredible match, let's talk about the Women's Royal Rumble. 30 women will be vying for an opportunity to challenge for the championship of their choosing. Who will outlast 29 other women and seal their WrestleMania dreams?
There's so many words that you could use to describe the Royal Rumble match: skill, luck, endurance, but you need all of it in order to come out victorious. And let's talk about some of the favorites on the women's side here tonight. Nia Jax clearly would be, I think, the favorite. Well, let's remember that a year ago, Charlotte Flair did not participate in this particular match. I think she's got to be right up there with Nia Jax, Booker T.
Charlotte Flair is always going to be somewhere near the top, but it's not a game of, how good you are. I mean, luck has a lot to do with winning this Royal Rumble. Being in the right place at the right time is very, very important. The betting odds right now is all on Nia Jax. And if I was betting it, the smart money for me would go all on Nia. Nia is looking for a huge moment, and I think it's going to be tonight here at Royal Rumble.
Did you tell him that we've already bet?
Yeah.
You're right. He's bet on Nia Jax. I'm betting on Charlotte Flair.
Very good. Beth, you participated a year ago in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match. When you were preparing and you were thinking about what you had to do to be victorious and remain in the match, what kind of went through your head?
Oh my gosh, there's a million things. Like Booker said, so much of it is up to chance. You can only do so much endurance training, so much strength training. A lot of it is just pure luck and taking advantage of opportunities.
Extra, extra.
Hear all about it. Extra, extra. Hear all about it.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's going on, Doug?
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Hey, what's the breaking news, man?
Extra, extra. Hey, I'm proud to announce myself and Carmella, we are both number 30 in our Elimination Chamber matches, dog. Yeah, number 30, dog.
Dude, be serious.
Elimination Chamber.
It's not Elimination Chamber. Anyway, the real breaking news is here. After we both win our Royal Rumble matches, we are going to throw the world's largest dance break at WrestleMania.
Wow. Throw me some,
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, I like it. Invite me, dog. Make sure I get an invitation.
You're already invited.
Carmella, let me ask you this. I like the word advantage. Do you feel like you have a decided advantage over the other 29 because you'll be the last one?
Number 30, y'all are betting all your money on Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax, but no one's betting on Carmella. Mella is money. Number 30.
Amen. Amen.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Listen. What's up? What's up? What's up? Truth.
Listen, we get the advantage because we get to watch what everyone else is doing. We're the last one out there. We get to see if there's any alliances formed, if anyone is, stabbing anyone in the back. We can take full advantage of that. So we have the odds in our favor.
We're coming in fresh off the press.
Fresh.
I'm
Guys,
able to watch.
Hang on. I don't want to rain on your parade or anything. And I realize that number 30 is the best advantage that any superstar can have going into the Royal Rumble. But did you just see what we saw? The statistics show that only 3 times, only 3 superstars have won from the number 30 position. So tell me, truthfully, do you really think that you're going to wind up headlining WrestleMania?
Yes, we do.
Come on now. Let me ask you this. What number would you want to be other than 30? That's the best number. And you said 3 people have won. It's better than none. Tonight is going to be 5.
There you go.
We don't care about it. Just talk it.
Should we give it to her?
It's hot. It's hot.
Really?
All right. R-Truth. 2, 3, Wow, okay. R-Truth, Carmella.
Coach, completely
I know. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to let them do what they do. Speaking of advantages, there's one other mega women's superstar who feels like she has a distinct advantage. here tonight, and that is Alexa Bliss.
I'm very excited. You know, I've been out of the ring for almost 4 months now, so I'm ready to get back in and get back in the swing of things. Last year I wasn't able to be a part of the Rumble, obviously, because I was champion, you know, champ problems. But I'm really excited because I wanted to be in the match so bad, and so now I'm able to be in the match, and it's working out perfectly. My first step is getting back in the ring, getting back in the swing of things, and as soon as everything's all set in order, I'm coming after a title, doesn't matter which one.
Mustafa Ali was right when he said that my eyes do not lie, because my eyes tell a true story. A story of a man fueled by anger and rage, a man with no conscience, one that does not share your pathetic sense of morality, a man with the perfect combination of size and speed, all wrapped together with viciousness, who cannot and will not be moved by anyone or anything. A man built to destroy all opponents, including a viper who thought it was wise to RKO me. My eyes tell the story of a man built to win the Royal Rumble match.
Now, you don't think that face and that man is ready to win the Royal Rumble match tonight? Samoa Joe, put him in the favorite category. You can see fans continue to file in. Chase Field, over 40,000 from the WWE Universe will be here live tonight for the Royal Rumble. A reminder, WWE Royal Rumble is brought to you in part by Tops Now. Visit Tops.com the day after every WWE pay-per-view to get your WWE Tops Now card, available for only 24 hours. Who can forget a couple of weeks ago on Raw, Baron Corbin tells Braun Strowman that Braun can't defeat Brock Lesnar. Well, here's what happened.
You can't beat Brock Lesnar. You know it, I know it, so get it through your thick skull.
You better run!
That championship match you have with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, forget about it. You're out of it. You're out. How's that? Huh?
Clearly, Braun's emotions, guys, got the best of him. Wrong place, wrong time, and then he decided to do this to Mr. McMahon's limousine.
Unbelievable. Look at this face.
It's downright frightening, guys.
And I would consider that a costly mistake by Braun Strowman. And then that would lead to a fatal four-way match to determine Brock Lesnar's new opponent. And wouldn't you know it, to the delight of the WWE Universe, Finn Balor would beat the odds, beat the three other men, and in a true David and Goliath story, tonight we've got Brock Lesnar one-on-one against Finn Balor. Booker, let's start with you. What do you make of how the developments of the last 2 weeks have led to Brock's opponent here tonight?
Like I always say, man, preparation is the only luck you're ever gonna have in life. Right now, Finn Balor, he's almost just slipped on a banana peel, man. He's got that lottery ticket. He just needs to go out and cash it in. The question is, can Finn Balor go out and slay the beast? That's a huge, huge mountain to climb. But I tell you, Finn Balor is an extraordinary talent. When I say extraordinary, the guy can do anything. And I tell you, his endurance The guy can go all night long. The question is going to be, how much can he take tonight? We're going to find out.
You know, it should be noted that Braun Strowman, because of John Cena's injury, still will have an opportunity to get to WrestleMania. He'll be a part of the Royal Rumble match here tonight. But for Finn Balor, King, this is a title that he never lost. And Finn Balor has, for the better part of a couple of years, said that he's a top-flight superstar. Well, tonight, he's got that opportunity to prove it.
He's got to prove it. And that's one of those situations to me. It's be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. And I don't know of anybody, including Finn Balor, who would relish the opportunity and sit around and hope to be in a match with Brock Lesnar. It's something that you would try to avoid at all costs. But the price is big. The WWE title is on the line.
Yeah.
But I can't go against Brock Lesnar on this. I mean, I just can't.
Beth, we know that Brock Lesnar, the Universal Champion, is a ticket seller. He is a main event. He's a big-time talent. And it would be easy to say that he would overlook Finn Balor here tonight. If that's the case, then I think there is a chance for Finn Balor to shock the world and shock Phoenix, Arizona.
He's got the heart of a lion. I mean, when it comes to Brock Lesnar, I don't think Brock Lesnar necessarily underestimates any opponents, but he's pretty good at just eating them alive, like top to bottom. Nobody's going to meet Brock face-to-face with strength, you know? He's got to figure out another strategy, but I think if anybody can, sometimes in their momentum, a WWE superstar catches fire, and Finn's in that spot right now.
If I could use a quote tonight, Finn Balor's going to have to swim and not get wet.
It is a true David versus Goliath story here tonight. The champion, the Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, who has proven year in and year out that he is the absolute man, taking on a Finn Balor superstar who has told us and proven to us time and time again that he's worthy, but never quite got back to the top of the mountain. Well, it could happen here tonight. Brock Lesnar, Finn Balor.
I feel like a caged animal right now.
An extraordinary man that does extraordinary things.
Waiting for him to open the door
You can tell Finn Balor is fired up.
and let me run free.
A mind-twisting style on display.
You know, they say to shoot an arrow, you gotta pull it backwards. The target.
The Universal Champion. You see, David, he stood in the shadow of a giant. They said you're half the size, and they laughed in his face. But they didn't know who David was. And Goliath fell, face down in the dirt.
Could it be Balor's moment? It's Balor and the Beast for the Universal Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you your reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion.
You're looking in the eyes of an absolute beast. Fight me! Absolute dominance personified.
Brock Lesnar! You can't survive Suplex City! You can't survive the onslaught! You can't survive Brock Lesnar!
Amazing look there at Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor. Time to take a look at the tail of the tape. And the numbers are nothing short of astonishing. The weight, nearly 100-pound difference. 11 inches in their chest size. Their reach, 10 inches. How about combined days as Universal Champion? For Finn, 1 day. For Brock, nearly 600 days. You heard Paul Heyman's voice at the end of that package. and the first 3 words of each sentence was, "You can't survive." Do we believe that Finn can survive the initial onslaught of Brock Lesnar here tonight?
Can I answer that?
Sure.
You know, I look at that tape right there. We're in essence looking at a light heavyweight versus a super heavyweight. That's what we're looking at here tonight in this matchup. And I have to go back as far as literally early 90s, Horace Gracie versus Ramco Pardo. A small guy versus a super heavyweight. What happened in that match? Horace Gracie choked this man out and walked away the winner. That's exactly what could happen tonight. Finn Balor could come in with a plan and execute it and walk away champion. That's the way I see it.
All right, plenty more on Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor coming up a little bit later on here on the Kickoff Show. That's the Raw Universal Championship. What about the SmackDown Live WWE Championship? With more on that, let's send it to Charlie and JBL, guys.
All right, thank you so much. Well, unlike the battle for the Universal Championship and the potential for that fairy tale ending, as Vince McMahon is calling it, you know, the WWE Championship battle is different. They're evenly matched competitors. They've both proven themselves as champions, would you say?
Absolutely. It's different in the fact that these guys are going to steal the show. Look,
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels in my generation was the best performer we had. You knew he was going to go out and steal the show every time he walked out there. AJ Styles, to me, is this generation's Shawn Michaels, and he's got an opponent in Daniel Bryan who can match him hold for hold, blow for blow, and can go 45 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it has to be. I think this is going to be in the vein of Steamboat Flair. I think this is going to be a match to remember. Call the Arizona PD. These boys are going to steal the show.
Well, 2 very different positions that they hold, but they both know that victory tonight is the only option. And tonight, it is the new Daniel Bryan, putting aside his embarrassment or fear, as AJ Styles calls it, as the 2 step into the ring together, going one-on-one to challenge for the WWE Championship.
I destroyed the house that AJ Styles built.
Wait a minute! Daniel Bryan with a low blow? Something just snapped in Daniel Bryan.
I am creating a brave new world. You have somebody to show you the way. The new Daniel Bryan!
I've seen superstars come and go. They come in here, they win their championships, and then they become complacent. I know that's not you. There's an animal in there. You want it to come out. I want to see it. I want to see that animal. Oh, yeah. I want to see it, AJ. I want to see it. And I'm going to see it. Huh? I'm going to see it.
I am creating a brave. I destroyed the house that AJ Styles built.
This is what you people call a concession stand. But the only concessions being made are to your health and to your well-being.
You are destroying the very planet that gives you life. Weak! I am here changing the planet. Submissive! You take, and you give nothing back. I need you people to change. Putting profits over both the people and the planet. The planet needs me.
You know why you eat this? Because you're filling a void. And that is why you cheer AJ Styles.
I will fill this world with something that all of these children can be proud of.
That's AJ Styles. Styles doesn't want to wait to fight to the Royal Rumble. Styles wants to bring it right now.
Yeah, I've stood across from many opponents, and I have seen that look in their eyes. They're afraid, just like you're afraid of what's gonna happen at the Royal Rumble. And Daniel, you should be. You've corrupted your morals for that one thing, the WWE Championship. But what happens, Daniel, when I take that one thing away from you?
It's the WWE Champion, the new Daniel Bryan, throwing down with AJ Styles in the concourse area.
AJ Styles, power for the greater good.
Daniel Bryan just put the chairman in front of himself.
Oh, the knee!
People have not seen what I am capable of, but AJ Styles will see. He'll see at the Royal Rumble. I am bringing AJ Styles.
And the new Daniel Bryan will be WWE champion.
Gosh, well, we heard a lot of really strong words coming from Daniel Bryan. I think he would be really upset if he were standing in our spot right now. I mean, I'm seeing cotton candy, I'm seeing strawberries on sticks covered in chocolate, I'm seeing popcorn. I don't think he'd be very happy right now.
I don't think you would. And I don't know what crusade Daniel Bryan is on to save the world, but I was at WrestleMania in New Orleans when Daniel Bryan won the WWE Championship. And as King aptly named it, Yeselmania. Tonight, I don't think they're going to be chanting yes. I don't think Daniel Bryan cares. But when you have two competitors that are this even, it's a coin flip. Yeah. The champion usually walks out, especially when you have a champion who doesn't care, who does anything he could possibly do to win. I believe Daniel Bryan will walk out as WWE champion.
Well, we saw when they last traded blows on SmackDown Live this past week, Daniel Bryan was the one standing tall. Is that momentum meaningful tonight?
I don't think any of it's meaningful. And look, the reason I think that is because you have two guys who had some of the greatest big matches in history. You have two of the greatest competitors of all time. It's all going to go down out there. This is a coin flip to me. These are two of the most evenly matched, great superstars I've seen in the ring. I'm telling you, since Flair and Steamboat, this is going to be incredible. And to me, the champion, when it's a coin flip, tends to hold the advantage. It's like home field advantage in the NFL. I think Daniel Bryan retains.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of those evil concessions, you know, Chase Field did earlier talk about a burger that they are releasing, especially today for the Royal Rumble. You can check it out right here. It's 18 ounces of pork. It's on a toasted onion roll. They have cheddar cheese on it, smoked bacon, crispy coleslaw, fried onions, barbecue aioli, and get this, it's even topped with fried mac and cheese wedges. I mean, that is something special, but not in the eyes of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, look, I'm on with the vegetarians on this. Cows eat the grass. I eat the cows, so I'm actually saving the grass. Like, this is silly to me. I don't know why Daniel Bryan is trying to save the world. Ron and I had beer and hot dogs, so did Babe Ruth. It worked out pretty well for us.
All right, well, Daniel Bryan absolutely had something to say about this, and we caught up with him earlier today.
In a couple hours, thousands of tons of humanity will be herded into the stadium. Those people will force themselves into these reinforced seats, and undoubtedly most of them will be cheering for AJ Styles. Yet then, as it is now, this place will be empty. Because those people, just like all of you in the WWE Universe, they live empty lives. Sometimes they try to ignore it, but lots of times they try to fill it. They try to fill it with cheap consumer goods and social media affirmations, and they try to fill it with all sorts of toxic poisons, but it's never enough. They keep filling and filling and filling, and that's how we end up with something like this. The Chase Field Royal Rumble Burger. Do you know how many animals, how many of your fellow Earthlings have suffered for this? Shame! Shame on all of you! And yet, there will be thousands of people just lined up at the concession stands, just waiting to clog their arteries with this. And yet, despite all the suffering and all the calories, they will still feel empty and they will have nothing left. So then, they think, oh man, maybe I should live vicariously through one of my heroes. Live vicariously through somebody like AJ Styles. Man, because although Daniel Bryan, he's the planet's champion, AJ Styles, he's my champion. So when he wins, I win. His victory is my victory. And they think that if AJ Styles can beat me for the WWE Championship, maybe not all hope is lost. Maybe there is still some good in the world. If that's their last hope, I can't wait to destroy it.
my gosh, it looks like that monstrosity of a burger is going to be even more motivation for him tonight.
I don't get that at all. What I do get is behind that psychotic rant, behind that lumberjack jacket, and behind that beard is one of the best competitors WWE's ever seen, and none of that's going to matter once they get into that ring. This, to me, tonight is going to be nothing short of awesome.
Absolutely. Well, we cannot wait for that match. Coach, let's take it back to you right now.
Charlie, JBL, thank you very much. A programming note. Next Saturday, WWE Network, it's WWE Worlds Collide. Superstars of NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live will battle in the first ever WWE Worlds Collide tournament, with the winner receiving a future championship match of their choosing. That means anyone can become a champion on NXT, NXT UK, or 205 Live next Saturday, February 2nd, 8 Eastern, only on the WWE Network. We know there is no substitute for in-ring action here on the WWE Network. Time to get things started here at Chase Field. Let's send it ringside. Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Renee Young. Guys.
And you're looking live at the Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and tonight, home to the 32nd annual Royal Rumble event. Over 40,000 WWE fans expected tonight. They're still filing in. There is a line around the block outside the stadium as we welcome you to ringside. Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Renee Young from Monday Night Raw. This is my favorite pay-per-view event of the entire calendar year.
I completely agree with you, Cole, because we are now officially on the road to WrestleMania. It all starts tonight.
This is the best night to be a part of this, to be here at ringside. Ooh, I'm feeling it.
And let's get things underway with the Raw Tag Team Champions.
Scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, they are the Raw Tag Team Champions, the team of Chad Gable and the glorious Bobby Roode.
And I know how excited Renee is to be here at ringside. Her first Royal Rumble, and you and Beth Phoenix, our Hall of Famer, are going to have the opportunity to call the Women's Royal Rumble match here tonight.
To say I'm freaking out right now is a bit of an understatement. I am just so excited to be a part of this, be a part of more of these women making history tonight. And now to start things off here tonight with Chad Gable and Bobby Roode, we're all in good company.
And Corey Graves and I will have the distinct honor and privilege to call the Men's Royal Rumble match tonight with Jerry Lawler, the Hall of Famer, and the legendary JBL. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It is going to be so much fun. Two of my all-time favorites. It's an honor and privilege to get to sit beside them. We are going to have so much fun tonight. The atmosphere inside Chase Field right now is surreal. You could see it when Bobby and Chad first made their entrance. They took an extra minute to sort of enjoy the magnitude of the situation and really drink in the moment.
The word is glorious, Graves.
And their opponents, first, accompanied to the ring by Drake Maverick. He is one half of AOP, Rezar!
Akam, the other half of AOP, is out with an injury. So Drake Maverick, who manages things for AOP, got this match to, well, where basically Rezar is going to team with Scott Dawson of the Revival tonight. An opportunity, if they win, Corey, for both teams to get future tag team title opportunities.
A win tonight would definitely put AOP or the Revival in tag team title contention. It's going to be a tall task, though. Dawson and Rezar, not full-time tag team partners. Gable and Roode.
And his tag team partner, he is one half of the Revival, Scott Dawson!
And Renee, you remember this past Monday night on Raw, the Revival have an opportunity at the tag team titles. Kurt Hawkins inserted as the special guest referee, and Hawkins called it right down the middle, catching the Revival trying to cheat at every turn.
He did call it down the middle. I'll give it to Kurt Hawkins on that. But here with the Revival, I want the best for them. I want them to stay in this championship picture. So for this opportunity to land on their plate tonight, it's just another glowing moment for the Revival.
Very curious to see what this Frankenstein team of Dawson and Rezar are capable of. Both great tag team competitors, but again, it's a completely different dynamic when you're paired with somebody you're not familiar with.
This could either be a complete disaster or we could be looking at some magic here.
as we get set for this matchup between the tag team champions, Roode and Gable, and of course, Dawson and Razor of AOP. We are inside Chase Field here in Phoenix, Arizona. Of course, the Royal Rumble event just moments away, coming up on the WWE Network. It is a very unique feel inside Chase Field. Corey, it's one of these events where we don't do many events inside baseball stadiums. I go back to Safeco Field at WrestleMania a number of years ago, but it's a really distinct feel in here tonight.
The atmosphere inside this building is very, very different from just about anything I've experienced, aside from maybe a WrestleMania. It's definitely got a WrestleMania energy or vibe to it tonight.
This is the Royal Rumble inside a baseball stadium. This is America.
And there, Gable now sending Dawson to the middle of the ring. Here's the cover by Gable, hook to the leg, and a kick out. We're 1 hour and 9 minutes away from the 32nd annual Royal Rumble event in our first match here tonight on the kickoff show.
Chad Gable out to an early advantage, going to look to cut the ring in half, keep Dawson away from Razor. We know the game-changing strength that both members of AOP have. Ooh. Look at that athleticism.
Roll up by Gable, and Dawson manages to get out off the near fall. Now stacking Gable out, and a kick out. Again, in a jackknife cover by Gable.
Oh!
Incredible core strength by Dawson, able to fight his way up. Looking for a backslide.
Gable lands on his feet, and not quite sure what he was looking for there, but it paid off. Cross-body lateral press, hooks the leg, near fall kick out by Dawson.
Chad Gable said his new favorite pastime is German suplexing the Revival. We'll see if we get any of that tonight.
And Dawson tried a cheap shot at Bobby Roode, and Gable misses with a drop kick.
Dawson able to hang on, save himself.
And Drake Maverick saying, Dawson, make the tag, and he does. And here comes Razor of the AOP. And great double team action here.
Look at this raw
by this makeshift tag team. And Corey, we've talked about it before, Razor is the real deal.
Absolutely, one of the most dangerous men on the WWE roster, period. Former mixed martial artist, Razor is as dangerous as the day is long.
Now, look at those cross faces by Razor as Gable is hung up there on the second ropes. Drake Maverick, of course, who is also the general manager of 205 Live. And a little bit later on in the kickoff show, we're going to have the Cruiserweight Championship match from that brand, a fatal four-way, as Dawson tags himself in. Didn't look like Razor was too happy.
Certainly not the best communication to this point between Dawson and Razor. It takes time to form tag team chemistry. It's not something you can just make up on the spot.
And Dawson, here's the cover, shoulders down. Gable able to kick out at 2.
Graves, is it smarter to try to adapt to each other or stick to what you know?
That's a great question, and I don't know if I have the proper answer for you. We know Dawson is a tag team specialist. He and Dash Wilder pride themselves on being in-ring technicians and experts at teamwork. Razor is just brute power. Maybe Dawson leads the charge and Razor does the heavy lifting.
Well, Maverick directing traffic. Dawson and Razor doing a good job keeping Chad Gable out of his corner and away from Bobby Roode.
Wow. Gable almost overshot. Tag.
Here comes Razor.
Gable didn't realize.
Kick to the spine, and now Razor, the legal man.
Oh, brutal hammer fist from the Albanian Psycho.
Cover again by Razor, hook to the leg now on Gable. 2 count kick out near fall. What would it do for the psyche of the tag champs, guys, if Razor and Dawson were able to knock them off here tonight?
I think it would be catastrophic to the confidence of Roode and Gable. When you're the reigning tag team champions, if you were to come up short against a team that isn't a full-time team, that could be very detrimental to your career.
Come on, look at Razor. This man can take out like half the roster in one blow.
I completely agree with you. Razor's fun to watch as long as you're not in the ring. I don't want to stand across from him. I'll watch him beat people up, though.
Watch his hair. Come on. We're together.
Razor and Dawson again thinking twice about whether to make a tag, and yet they do. Dawson now the legal man.
Work together. This is what happens.
Nice suplex. Floats into the cover. Hook of the leg now on Gable, who kicks out at 2. Yet another near fall. Gable really has to make a tag to his partner, Bobby Roode.
What we're seeing is Dawson implementing the Revival's MO. Cut the ring in half. Keep your opponent isolated from his corner. Gable trying to fight back into this.
Oh! Dawson!
I think both superstars collided there.
Come on.
And this could be the turning point if Gable can somehow get to his corner and make it time for Bobby Roode. Rezar, though, not going to allow that to happen. And this huge man, Rezar, just overpowering Gable with one hand. Look at this. Gable, though.
Gable able to fight out of it, and an armbar's applied.
Got a 5 count to break, but perhaps the damage was done.
Smart move by Chad Gable.
Desperate, but it was effective. Dawson now.
Yeah, Dawson made the tag. He's now legal. Back into the ring to try to keep Gable away from his partner. Gable, though, able to roll through, make the tag, and here comes the glorious Bobby Roode, who buries a shoulder into Rezar. Follows up with a couple of clotheslines to Scott Dawson.
Bobby Roode like a glorious one-man army right now.
Whoa! Body drop sends Dawson flying, and again goes right after Rezar. Spine buster planting Dawson. And Roode is fired up. Burying the shoulder into the midsection as the world is talking about the Royal Rumble already. Oh, blockbuster by Roode.
Dawson was able to get out of the way just in time. O'Connor
rolling him up for the victory. He's got the tights and a kick out by Roode at 2. And Dawson with a knee to the face. And now a double team coming from this makeshift tag team.
Things are looking good for this new team.
Look at this, Dawson. Oh no, Dawson connects with Rezar. Another miscommunication that could prove to be terrible for this team.
Oh, and Rezar driven
nasty
through the ropes.
From behind, Bobby Roode looking for a roll-up.
Dawson, though, stacking him up here. Is it enough? Almost had him, and a kick out at 2.
Dawson still seems to be all out of sorts.
Gable's legal.
All the way to the top rope.
Chad Gable takes out Dawson. Here's the cover, and the tag team champions with the win.
Here are your winners, the Raw Tag Team Champions, Chad Gable and the glorious Bobby Roode.
Big win for the tag team champions here tonight as they continue their momentum for the Monday Night Raw brand. And plenty more still to come tonight on the Royal Rumble Kickoff Show, including from SmackDown Live. The United States Champion Rusev defends against Shinsuke Nakamura. More to come tonight. Let's head back up to our all-star panel. Of course, anchored by our friend, Jonathan Coachman.
Makeshift tag team composed of Scott Dawson and Rezar going up against Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. I mean, they truly did bring the fight to him, although the tag team champs
we could see either of these competitors later in the Royal Rumble. You know, the Royal Rumble is not just about one winner of the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is about the road to WrestleMania and creating an impact. Legends are going to be born today. Hearts are going to be broken, and somebody's going to emerge out of this.
Guys, we only have one place. Listen, I got to get this out real quick. There's only one place you can watch the Royal Rumble.
Listen to me.
I
have a question. Does anybody here even know what it means to be almighty?
That man looks like he's almighty. I'll answer that question.
Do you know what it means to be a champion? Do you?
He knows.
Oh, you know, right? He beat you for the United States Championship for his first title. Listen. Bobby Lashley was made for the Royal Rumble, okay? He came here to dominate. He came here to eliminate, and that's exactly what he is going to do. This is your time, big man. Your time.
Look, I can take it. If you draw up a champion, that's what it looks like right there. It's a true story.
It looks like he's enjoying the attention out here.
He should enjoy the tension. Look at him. He's one of the best athletes. I lost the U.S. Championship to Bobby Lashley. I remember when he came in, he was a young rookie and with his great amateur background. I knew at that point he was destined for greatness. And right now, he's pretty much called his victory like the Bambino did at Wrigley Field for the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't bet against him.
He's wearing that championship proudly. And speaking of champions, tonight we will see two of the most dominant women in WWE go head to head. I'm talking about the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, and the man, Becky Lynch, going one-on-one for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. You know, this was last month we saw at TLC, the first ever women's TLC match. Ronda Rousey really putting her 2 cents in here. She did not want to see these two ladies win. She did not want to face them. Therefore, Asuka becoming the new SmackDown Women's Champion.
Well, I think that goes into Ronda Rousey's mind, and we're not sure exactly what she was thinking. She obviously had some retribution on her mind. But one thing we know for sure, though, is right now is those two competitors right there, Asuka and Becky Lynch, are competing for that championship tonight.
Yeah, and it looks like neither of them are afraid of the other. I mean, both walking in tonight with extreme confidence. I mean, there's really no telling what could happen. And you see here Charlotte Flair. She's always got to insert herself in here, thinking she is the rightful one to deserve this championship opportunity.
Oh, you see Charlotte Flair playing a little mind games, and it worked out very well. Charlotte Flair wants to inject herself into this championship match. Asuka was last year's Royal Rumble champion, and you see Charlotte Flair, she wants to be this year's Royal Rumble champion. She's going to face one of these two competitors, and most likely, if that's what she chooses when she wins the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely, yeah, she will face, if she were to be the one to win the Women's Royal Rumble match, face the champion her choosing. You know, right now, there's really no telling who we could see walking into WrestleMania as the women's champion.
Yeah, you know, you never learn much about somebody. You know, Asuka come in, she was last year's Royal Rumble winner. She had that undefeated streak in NXT, undefeated streak here in WWE. You don't find out about somebody until they face adversity. You know, unless you're Rocky Marciano or Floyd Mayweather, you don't retire undefeated in this world. We found out a lot about Asuka once she finally lost, what it took for her to get back. She is a great champion. She's facing a former #1 draft pick in Becky Lynch. This is a great matchup on a great stage right here at the Royal Rumble. This is a perfect setup for what's going to happen at WrestleMania. But more importantly tonight, we're going to see one heck of a championship match.
Actually, and Becky Lynch, she has been so hot lately. I mean, she beat out both Charlotte and Carmella to win that triple threat match to earn the opportunity tonight. So really, right now, I'd say the odds are, I wouldn't say stacked in her favor, but they're not looking bad.
Yeah, you know, a lot is momentum. A lot of life is momentum, a lot of sports is momentum, and right now Becky has that.
Absolutely. All right, well, the Royal Rumble is live at the top of the hour.
Charlie, thank you very much. We are officially under 60 minutes until the start of the Royal Rumble Live right here on the WWE Network. Over 40,000 fans continue to file in here at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, our royalty has tagged out. King and Booker are gone, but we are thrilled and honored to welcome in our new panel members now. All the way at the end of our panel, the best dressed man in WWE.
I like that. I like that segue, too, off of the royalty.
That's right. And then, of course, a man who needs no introduction. He won the Royal Rumble match twice. WWE Hall of Famer, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
The worst dressed man who they made wear a sports coat for this particular event.
Well, Shawn, tonight's all about, there's a lot of great matches, but let's be honest, it's about the women's 30-woman Royal Rumble match and the men's 30-man Royal Rumble match. You were able to get it done twice. What did it take, not just to participate, but to win tonight?
Well, look, the biggest thing that's changed, honestly, because now my answer is I don't know. Because, well, honestly, at a time, every 30 person, I felt like I had at least been in the ring with them once. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't know who's coming out a lot of times. Right. And that's a dynamic that I don't recall ever having to deal with. You know, and that's something, again, you've been in the ring with somebody at least once or twice. You might know what to expect, but you may have somebody coming down that aisle that you've never been in the ring with, that you haven't seen in 10 years, or that, you know what I mean? Again, there's just a lot of surprises now that we didn't have to deal with. So you can prepare as best you can, but you have got to learn how to go on the fly, as they say.
For those fans that have watched over the years, you had some of the most spectacular moments that this match has ever seen. When those things happen, do you know what's coming, or do you just kind of go with the flow?
Yeah, no, I'm very blessed to have, most everything I did, I had no idea until afterwards that I was doing it. I did not. Strangely enough, I didn't do a lot of thinking in my time, and I still don't do that much. But it really did. It worked for me. Instinctually, just being caught up in the moment always worked for me. And so, honestly, it was one of those things that if it ain't broke, I never tried to fix it.
There you go. The Royal Rumble, of course, live tonight, streaming on the WWE Network, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. If you're not a subscriber yet, what are you waiting for? It's very, very simple. Go to WWENetwork.com and order the network now. It is free for new subscribers. But more than that, you also get in 3 weeks WWE Elimination Chamber. And that night, history will be made. As for the first time ever, we will crown WWE Women's Tag Team Champions that night. But that's in 3 weeks. We've got to deal with the here and the now. And tonight is a special, special night. And we start, of course, with the match that Shawn Michaels was just starting about. How do you prepare? How do you get ready? How do you know? Well, the answer is you don't. 30 men will enter. One man will leave. One man will leave a shot in the main event at WrestleMania. Also coming up here tonight. How about this? Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. David Otunga, what do you make of this?
Man, these are two of the most skilled WWE superstars. They're going to clash a phenomenal one. Will try to reclaim the title over Captain Planet, the new Daniel Bryan.
And then we have the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. She'll be defending her title against the man, Becky Lynch. Man, tensions are boiling between these two competitors as they set out to prove who rules the SmackDown Women's division.
And after a brutal beatdown on SmackDown Live, can Shane McMahon and The Miz live up to their nickname as the best tag team in the world by dethroning The Bar and becoming the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions?
Guys, we have another first. The Raw Women's Championship is on the line in a matchup we've been anticipating since Ronda Rousey debuted in WWE. She'll be taking on the boss, Sasha Banks. These two women demand respect, and tonight we're going to see them battle, and it's going to be explosive.
And in a battle of biblical proportions, a true David versus Goliath, the Beast Brock Lesnar will defend the Universal Championship against the man who can do extraordinary things, Finn Balor.
Then, of course, we have the huge Women's Royal Rumble match for only the second time in history. 30 women will do battle to earn a championship opportunity at WrestleMania.
All that coming up tonight live. The Royal Rumble streaming here on the WWE Network, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Well, we know all year in 2018, Rusev tried to climb the mountain. He finally got there. Will it in tonight? Let's send it back to ringside. Tom Phillips.
Scheduled for one fall is for the United States Championship. Introducing the challenger from Kyoto, Japan. Weighing in at 220 pounds, he is the artist known as Shinsuke Nakamura.
We are set for the first of 7 championship matches to take place tonight here at Phoenix, Arizona. Over 40,000 WWE fans filing in to Chase Field. You can hear Hamilton's voice echo throughout this cavernous arena.
It's absolutely insane. I have a very, very strong feeling that Chase Field is about to be relocated to the United States of Knock America once again.
That again. Shinsuke Nakamura ready for another United States Championship opportunity against the leader of Rusev Day.
And his opponent, accompanied by the ravishing Russian Lana, weighing in at 138 kilos. He's the United States Champion, the Bulgarian Brute, Rusev.
Rusev set to defend the United States Championship His wife Lana, in fact, will compete later on tonight in the 30-women Royal Rumble matchup to determine who will earn a championship opportunity at WrestleMania in the women's division. But it's Rusev, Byron, who, well, Shinsuke Nakamura was ducking him for quite some time. Didn't believe Rusev was worthy competition, and that all changed on Christmas Day.
That changed on Christmas Day. It changed on Rusev Day. It changed on Rusev's birthday when he would capture the United States Championship, and he hasn't looked back since.
Yeah, but Rusev has got to be careful and aware not to fall prey to the mind games of Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke has already gotten under the skin of Rusev. Tonight, Nakamura could really capitalize on the psychological advantage.
And Graves, to your point, as the WWE Universe looks on here on the Royal Rumble kickoff show, the United States Championship at stake. It was an altercation between Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev where things got out of control.
Okay, let's call it what it was.
Rusev.
Lana put her nose in something that she did not belong in, okay? Lana decided she wanted to try to protect her husband, who is a competitor of his own right, and she paid the price for it.
Over 40,000 members of the WWE Universe still filing their way into Chase Field here in Phoenix, Arizona. A little less than 50 minutes until the beginning of the Royal Rumble event, streaming live on the WWE Network.
Well, Shinsuke Nakamura used that incident as a ploy to lure Rusev in, and Rusev attacking with ferocity.
Here comes the Lion of Bulgaria right to the midsection of Nakamura to start off this matchup. Now a three-time United States champion, but Grace, this is personal as well. Hook to the leg, cover on Nakamura.
Rusev needs to stay with his game plan. He needs to stick to his guns, not get too caught up emotionally. That's what Nakamura wants. He's going to want to make Rusev make a mistake.
Elbow drop right to the face of Nakamura. Rusev has said, you mess with my wife, you cross a line. Hook to the leg, and a kick out by Nakamura.
It's understandable, but the fact remains, Lana put herself in harm's way that night. You can't hold that against Shinsuke Nakamura.
No one's holding that against Shinsuke Nakamura. People are holding it against Shinsuke. Is what he's done with that incident. He's blamed Rusev. He used that to get into the head of Rusev.
You're right, he has. And what's going on right this second, Byron Saxton, Nakamura has himself another opportunity to become United States champion. I'd say it worked out swimmingly.
Another suplex from Rusev, and you can see how fired up the Bulgarian is to start this matchup, and there goes Shinsuke.
You always wonder where the balance is going to be between being emotionally in check and being focused on your opponent. And right now, I think Rusev is right where he needs to be.
The referee needs to keep an eye on Lana. Who knows? She might get all wound up again and try to attack Shinsuke.
Come on. Champion's advantage here tonight goes to Rusev. Title can only change hands inside the ring by pinfall or submission. Nakamura kick right to the face of Rusev.
Nakamura realized he's going to want to get Rusev back inside the ring.
We're going to take advantage of the environment in the meantime.
Shinsuke just needs to be aware of the referee's count.
A count of 4 and gets Rusev back inside, breaks the count for the moment. Nakamura, how crafty was it for him to get this opportunity? Knee right to the chest.
It was a master class in psychological...
hold on, cover, close to the ropes.
Psychological manipulation by the former United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay, but look what you have created. Look at the anger that you have drawn out of Rusev. Can Nakamura handle this version of Rusev in this match?
Do you ever hear the saying, Byron, we're not punished for our anger, we're punished by our anger? That could be the case with Rusev tonight. If he's too angry, too emotional, Shinsuke will make him pay.
Nakamura, bad vibrations, using his range, his long limbs, and now has Rusev up on the top turnbuckle. Nakamura right to the midsection.
Eviscerating knee.
Champion's in trouble. Hook to the inside leg. Rusev kicks out at 2. And living in an age, Graves, to your point, where contractual rematches are a thing of the past.
God, right in the mouth.
You have to either earn your opportunity, or in the case of what Nakamura did, is provoke the champion to give you the match.
You can't argue with results, Tom.
Well, it's kind of ironic because when Nakamura was United States champion, he wasn't exactly giving away title opportunities. In fact, it was like pulling teeth to get Nakamura to actually defend the United States championship.
Nakamura defended it as much as he was contractually obligated to do so. There is nothing that says you have to be a fighting champion. Sure, it might be exciting, but Shinsuke could just sit back and enjoy his title reign.
And Rusev just flings off Nakamura. What a drop kick by the super athlete. And Lana is loving it at ringside. About 45 minutes and change until the Royal Rumble event begins, streaming live on the WWE Network. And it could be a great Rusev day, could be a great Lana day if Lana wins later tonight.
Well, listen, just having Lana at ringside is great motivation for Rusev. You know, this whole thing has been built around what happened to Lana trying to defend her husband. And now he's got a chance to defend her honor.
Look at Rusev. Oh, and Nakamura caught in the following slam. Now Rusev tossing his entire frame at Nakamura. There's a spin kick.
From a super athlete.
Cover to put away Nakamura to retain the title and a kick out.
Determined and focused look on the face of Rusev.
You see determination and focus. I see frustration. Rusev starting to question, what do I have to do to put Nakamura away?
Rusev has to be careful not to become overly emotional. We understand he's fighting for the honor of his wife, but at the same time, he's got to remember Nakamura and the United States Championship at stake.
Shinsuke wisely rolling to the outside.
Oh! Punch right to the side of the face.
Wait. No way.
Hold on a second.
Wait a minute. Nakamura on the outside. Rusev is calling for it. Oh, my God. Oh, caught with a kick by Nakamura.
Lethal striking ability of Nakamura.
Whoa.
Oh, my.
What a kick by Rusev. This could do it to hold on to the title. No kick out.
That was close. That was really close.
You can see the frustration now visible on the face of the champion.
And while the challenger is a bit dazed at the moment as Rusev gets back up to his feet with purpose.
I think Rusev knows exactly what he wants to do.
Oh, shot to the spine, and Nakamura saw the accolade coming. Oh, caught him with the left, and down goes Rusev to his knees. Oh!
Right across the back of the neck.
Here comes Nakamura. Boom! Right to the side of the face. Nakamura to win the United States Championship. Oh, kick out. Rusev staying alive.
Just barely. Nakamura could taste the United States Championship. Shinsuke now needs to stay the course, keep his foot on the gas pedal. Do not relent.
Shinsuke looking to put this thing away.
Nakamura's thinking about it. Rusev trying to get back up to his feet. Could this be the end of his United States title reign? Oh, went for the Machka kick. Oh, and a clubbing blow right to the chest of Nakamura.
Double axe handle turns Shinsuke inside out.
Oh, and the Machka kick. Nakamura is down, and Rusev is calling for it again. Oh, look at the power. Rusev just drops Nakamura.
Wait a minute. Oh. Shinsuke found an armbar.
Armbar applied here on Rusev.
Rusev trying to fight it. Shinsuke doesn't have the arm completely straightened.
Rusev couldn't get his grip. Now gets his grip. Unlocking his hands. And
into a triangle.
Nakamura turns it around.
Rusev is in a lot of jeopardy right now. Shinsuke careful not to put his own shoulders on the mat.
The official right on top of this. Nakamura slowly, it looks like Rusev was fading to the artist known as Shinsuke Nakamura.
This is desperation time for Rusev.
Critical moment here on the Royal Rumble kickoff show.
Rusev back on his feet. Uh-oh.
And Nakamura still hanging on with the triangle. Rusev trying to lift him up. There's a 1 count. And still Nakamura holding on.
Shinsuke continuing to squeeze the triangle.
Oh my God.
Rusev is fading.
Oh, look at the angle here. Look at the angle. And still Rusev powers him up.
Out into the guillotine.
Great transition by Shinsuke Nakamura. Gifted MMA background, applying it heavily here in this matchup.
Is that one last gasp from Rusev?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. The United States champion again holding on.
I'm not entirely sure Rusev didn't just tap.
The official is allowing it to continue. It's at his discretion. And a suplex by Rusev. Collapses into a cover, however. Hook to the leg on Nakamura. Oh, and a kick out.
Take another look at this. Just pure muscle from the Lion of Bulgaria. Almost into a jackhammer type maneuver. Flattened Shinsuke, but could not keep him down for 3.
You're seeing clearly how much that maneuver took out of the champion. How much can Rusev muster up?
Rusev spent a considerable amount of time inside Nakamura's triangle. There is no way Rusev's feeling 100% after that.
Now Rusev trying to work his way back up to his feet, tosses Nakamura into the corner. What could the United States champion be thinking here?
Whatever it takes to win. This is somewhat unfamiliar territory for Rusev. You don't see the Lion of Bulgaria on the ropes like this too frequently.
Nakamura is able to slip Freyo face first into the top turnbuckle. And a great move by Shinsuke Nakamura. Look at the power. Oh my.
Landslide connects.
Nakamura to win the United States title. No. Rusev kicked out. Right shoulder off of the mat.
It's the challenger now feeling the frustration of being unable to put Rusev away. Great showing of power from Nakamura, spiking Rusev in the center of the ring, but the champion fights on.
Rusev, hold on a second.
Byron, the official is checking on Rusev to make sure he's okay. And
hey, what is Lana doing?
She's looking out for her husband. Nakamura's trying to untie the turnbuckle pad, guys. Nakamura, can he take advantage? Nakamura is United States champion once again.
Here is your winner and the new United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Once again, Lana's involvement proves to be detrimental to Rusev's title reign.
Corey, you can't blame Lana. Lana was trying to point out to the referee that Shinsuke Nakamura was trying to cheat and and then this to the back of the neck, a Kinshasa knee strike puts down Rusev. Again, incidental contact between husband and wife, completely unnecessary, and then this.
Nakamura's plan worked to perfection. Once again, gentlemen, we are residing in the United States of Knock America.
It is hard to fault Rusev there, but at the end of the day, Shinsuke took advantage. We have our first title change here tonight at the Royal Rumble. You can continue to see the countdown clock. Under 40 minutes until the Royal Rumble live tonight here on the WWE Network. Welcome back to the kickoff show. I am the coach. And segueing back to the 30-man Royal Rumble match. We told you earlier tonight, and if you've been watching the WWE digital platforms throughout the day, huge news earlier today. John Cena, because of an injury suffered at the hands of Drew McIntyre a couple of weeks ago, will not be participating tonight in the Royal Rumble, a match he has won several times before. However, Braun Strowman now will have the opportunity. He will step in John Cena's place. That changed the entire landscape of the match. So Shawn Michaels, let me ask you, how does it change in the minds of the other WWE superstars now that Braun's in and John Cena is out?
So I guess fundamentally, I don't know that it changes that much, because if anybody might be as strong as Braun Strowman, if John Cena, John is freakishly strong. So fundamentally, I don't know that it changes that much. But I think the biggest thing is, you know, Cena had a big target on his back. I mean, John Cena, any guy that eliminated John Cena, you know, you guys did it by the numbers earlier. That's something that would go down as something pretty historic, not to take anything away from Braun. But you know what I mean? So that I think there's more of a personality dynamic that it's just as big to eliminate Braun because he's got to be an odds-on favorite, right? For as big as he is.
No doubt.
But John, there's a notoriety aspect that, like I said, I think when everything's said and done, I think it balances out. But I just could see a lot of guys having a target on Cena and saying, I'm the guy that gets eliminated John Cena, right?
And to piggyback off that, I think Braun is going to have just as big of a target on his back. I mean, you're going to want to try and eliminate the biggest threat. And I think that's what's so cool about the Royal Rumble is this match lends itself to guys who are quote-unquote perceived underdogs because they can kind of just lie in the weeds, band together, eliminate whoever's the biggest threat, and hang on to win.
Well, let's keep in mind, for Braun Strowman, it was his own fault that he lost his opportunity at Brock Lesnar here tonight when he attacked the limousine. Miss McMahon took that away
Was it his own fault, though?
I would say it was his own fault.
Well, the defense attorney in me would say no.
Okay, but now that opportunity, per se, has been given back to Braun. So, Beth, let me ask you this. In the mind of Braun Strowman, how excited is he now that the opportunity at WrestleMania is now right in front of him?
I mean, I don't think logic really came into play, or lawyerly logic, David. I think really, like, Braun's a monster. He reacts on emotion. And the problem is behind that emotion, he's got freakish size, freakish strength. I mean, we looked at past winners of the Royal Rumble, like a Big John Studd or a Yokozuna. Size alone lends you that advantage. And I think Braun Strowman's going in there with a great attitude, and man, I think he's going to toss some bodies. That's my opinion.
So once again, John Cena is out tonight due to injury. Braun Strowman is in John Cena's place in the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Another big match tonight. The SmackDown Tag Team titles will be on the line when The Bar takes on The Miz and Shane McMahon. Let's go back. Last week on SmackDown Live, all hell broke loose, and Shane McMahon and The Miz, well, they, as they always seem to do the last month or so, in the mix. But, David, take me through what happened here.
And Shane throwing caution to the wind, but The Bar turning it around, and a brogue kick right there to Shane. Look at this. Now, you know there's no way Shane's going to be 100% tonight. And then it didn't stop there. The Bar clearly sending a message to the quote-unquote best tag team in the world.
So when I look at this matchup tonight, you've got the well-oiled machine of The Bar taking on two guys that individually have always seemed to rise, Sean, to the occasion. And that's The Miz and Shane McMahon. They'll go toe-to-toe tonight here at the Royal Rumble. So, Sean, let me ask you. You've been a guy that really kind of liked to do your own thing, like Shane, like The Miz. Do you think they can coexist enough to beat a tag team like The Bar?
I don't know. Again, one of those things that go even on the Braun stuff. When you have enough emotion and it works for you, you know, in a positive way, it's good to react on that emotion because it works. Mine didn't always do that. Hunter always a lot more centered, a lot more grounded than I was. Collectively together, we did well. Shane's sometimes out there. Somebody's going to have to be the calmer, you know, Miz has got to be the one. There's got to be a yin and yang, I guess. Yep. If they're both, you know, off the reservation, it isn't going to work against a team as good as The Bar.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think the main thing to tag team success is trust and being able to trust your partner. And, I mean, The Bar obviously trust each other. Like you said, they're a well-oiled machine. But think about this. That could actually be a detriment to them because they're going to come in confident, but perhaps overconfident. And I don't think you want to take The Miz and Shane lightly.
Let's keep in mind that this relationship was something that The Miz wanted. This is something that he implored Shane McMahon to do. And tonight, for Miz's mind, this is the culmination of what could be a beautiful relationship.
Let Nikki play. Let Nikki play. Let Nikki play. Tonight is the Royal Rumble. 29 other women trapped with Nikki Cross. Bodies are gonna fly. Fly, my pretties, fly. And no one knows what's gonna happen. No one knows except Nikki. I know. Nikki knows. And tonight, Nikki Cross is going to win the Royal Rumble because chaos always wins.
How about trying to deal with that tonight in the Royal Rumble match? There you see the incredible scene inside Chase Field as over 40,000 fans continue to file in for Royal Rumble that is just over 30 minutes away. Well, the Royal Rumble weekend started last night in a rather impactful way. Fans today are still talking about it. It's NXT TakeOver, Phoenix style.
Royal Rumble weekend kicks off with the gold standard in sports entertainment. This is NXT TakeOver Phoenix. We are in the Valley of the Sun where the action promises to be hotter than Arizona asphalt. All about the NXT Women's Championship. And Shayna Baszler retains the NXT Women's Championship.
The following contest is for the NXT North American Championship.
Johnny Wrestling has finally done it! NXT Championship hangs in the balance in the main event of NXT TakeOver Phoenix. Why I keep on holding my breath! And this match gets started in a hurry. Ciampa with the fairy tale ending. Cover! Oh my God! Where is this coming from? Oh no! Black injured his leg. Tommaso Ciampa's reign of terror continues.
An absolutely incredible night last night for NXT TakeOver Phoenix. For many people who don't know, Shawn Michaels is a big-time player behind the scenes when it comes to NXT. Shawn, I got to ask you, after what went down last night, what did you make of NXT TakeOver Phoenix?
Well, so, yeah, there's a rumor that I'm way biased towards NXT. Personally, I don't see it, but that is the rumor. What I do know is stone cold fact is that once again, the boys and ladies and gentlemen from NXT TakeOver tore it down last night, as they always do. And the thing is, as stellar as the show was, and it was, you got to check it out on the WWE Network, but what happened afterwards, I mean, it didn't just stop with the main event. It unfolded more in the back. You got to see this. So I have to say, so one of the things I dig about NXT, and again, I don't know how much behind the scenes stuff I'm doing, but we see all that and it's like, okay, those are the top dogs in NXT. We have got to, I can't be going on all the time. We got to try to resolve this as quickly as possible so we can get back to business. So as you all know, there's a big game coming up. And, sometimes during halftime, and my understanding is halftime this year, there's going to be a lot of time on your hands. So what we want to do, we decided to throw together a 6-man tag team match during halftime. Halftime heat on NXT between the top dogs in NXT. The heavyweight champion, Tommaso Ciampa, the newly crowned North American champion, Johnny Gargano, and the first ever North American champion, Adam Cole, are going to team up in a 6-man tag against Aleister Black, Ricochet, and the Velveteen Dream. We're going to resolve this thing right away during halftime of some really super happening.
And from what I understand, you will be close by because you'll be on guest commentary that night.
Yeah, look, all right, it's out. If NXT's around, I'm there because, I got to be a part of it. I don't care much about that game anyway. I got no dog in it. I'm going to NXT and watching that.
I think if anybody that watched NXT TakeOver last night can't wait for a week from tonight for Halftime Heat with those 6 individuals.
I got news for you. They are going to, light the place on fire.
Can't wait for that. All right, Halftime Heat next week right here on WWE Network. All right, time for more great action here on the Kickoff Show. For a little 205 live action. We'll send down ringside and my man, Vic Joseph. Vic.
Well, we're also excited for what's going to happen next Sunday, but how about what's about to happen right now? The Cruiserweight title is going to be on the line. We've seen one title change hands already. Nigel, are we going to see a new Cruiserweight champion?
Well, Vic, I'm no Nostradamus, but with the champion neither having to be pinned or submitted to lose that title, the odds are clearly against Buddy Murphy.
It is time for the Cruiserweights to take flight here at the Royal Rumble.
Following contest scheduled for one fall is a fatal 4-way match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Introducing first, representing the Lucha House Party, Kalisto.
And now, of course, got a new broadcast partner, that being Aiden English. As Aiden, you can see 24 minutes from now, the Royal Rumble event will officially kick off. WWE Universe still filing in to Chase Field here in Phoenix, but you have quite the history with Kalisto.
That's right. I've faced Kalisto in almost every town in this country, a man formerly known as the King of Flight. But he's got to have a lot of confidence coming into this bout as the most decorated man in WWE out of all 4 contestants.
A very decorated former champion, but I just question a man who finds inspiration in a cardboard donkey.
Next, from Kobe, Japan, weighing in at 156 pounds, Akira Tozawa.
And much like Kalisto, Akira Tozawa trying to become a 2-time Cruiserweight champion. And guys, some consider Tozawa to be the sleeper pick.
I've said it before and I said it again. All of these men, except for Tozawa, have been on a big stage like this, like WrestleMania. But this is his first time.
How will Tozawa respond? And here comes a superstar who has competed at WrestleMania.
Being accompanied by Arya Dubari from Tokyo, Japan, weighing in at 180 pounds, Hideo Itami.
And Nigel, Aiden brings up a good point about Akira Tozawa, but how about Hideo Itami? He's the only superstar in this match to not hold gold in the WWE.
Well, absolutely, but to that point, Vic, Arya Daivari mentioned that, and he said that makes Hideo Itami the hungriest of the 4 competitors in this match.
He also mentioned being the most dangerous in this matchup, and both of you have stepped in the ring with Hideo Itami.
Hardest I've ever been hit in my life.
Well, talking of hard hitting,
and from Melbourne, Australia, weighing in at 203 pounds, he is the WWE Cruiserweight Champion, Buddy Murphy!
Well, Nigel mentioned the championship disadvantage. Aiden, do you believe we're going to have a new champion?
I mean, Shakespeare wrote it, uneasy lies the head that wears a crown, and Buddy Murphy has to be coming into this feeling a little uneasy. He does not have to be pinned. He does not have to be submitted to lose that Cruiserweight Championship.
I didn't know you were a fan of the Bard, Aiden.
Then you don't know me, Nigel, do you?
Evidently not. One man I do know is the Cruiserweight Champion, Buddy Murphy.
WWE Royal Rumble is presented by Golden Crisp. Can't get enough of that Golden Crisp. It's got the crunch with the punch. And there you see the Cruiserweight Championship will be contested in this fatal 4-way matchup. All these superstars want the gold around their waist. As you see the eyes of Hideo Itami, Kalisto, and of course, the champion himself, Buddy Murphy.
All four of these men have traveled the world, and now the world's eyes are on them as they start this match.
It is all about hashtag cruiserweight title. And a feeling out process up front. And what would the strategy be, Nigel?
Exactly what Hideo Itami just did. Even in the hero's heart, discretion is the better part. Cover.
Oh, shoulders down. Wait a minute, Kalisto now. Shoulders down on Tozawa. And Buddy Murphy interrupting one more time. And this is what a fatal four-way matchup is about.
But you got to wonder if Hideo Itami is missing out on these covers.
Well, at this point, though, it's only a 1 count each opportunity. So if you're Hideo Itami, save your energy. These three superstars expending a lot of energy, really for no purpose.
Oh, look at the submission center of the ring. Tozawa tying up the cruiserweight champion, but
Iron
the power.
Octopus wasn't enough, though, to get the submission.
The power of Buddy Murphy on display. And now the speed and quickness of Kalisto.
Hideo Itami on the outside, still watching. If there's danger, significant danger.
And look at Kalisto, gets caught again. The power on display once more. And Kalisto able to get out. Kalisto quickening the pace in this matchup. Hurricane Rana taking down the champion. And that's what you were talking about, Aiden. The experience of Kalisto gets caught by Tozawa.
But you never know. You have to have eyes in the back of your head in a match like this.
Oh! What a drop kick. Give the assist to 1/3 of the Lucha House Party. And now Tozawa, sternum first into the barricade. And there comes Kalisto, who gets caught. Look at the strength of Buddy Murphy.
That's the power that gave Buddy Murphy the Cruiserweight Championship. If he stays with that strategy, he will walk out with that title.
Well, now
here comes the Don from Nihon.
Champion locking eyes with Hideo Itami. Of course, Itami this past week on 205 Live picked up a lot of momentum, winning a triple threat match, which some say the assist goes to Buddy Murphy for that victory to Itami.
I don't think Itami's one of those people.
But well, you have all mentioned the strong striking ability of Itami.
Buddy Murphy gets right back up.
And answers right back with a kick to the spine.
Two of the strongest kickers on the brand.
Is it a good idea to go strike for strike with Hideo Itami, though?
Oh, evidently, well, maybe. Look at this. This is incredible.
And now Itami lighting up the champion. Hideo Itami, who said it is his destiny to become a champion here in the WWE. And once he becomes champion, he will earn everyone's respect.
And if he doesn't, he will beat them out of it.
And speaking of that, he certainly does. Itami have a history with Akira Tozawa. Former friends turned bitter rivals in 2018. As now, look at Itami trying to hoist back in Kalisto.
After all the fanfare of Hideo Itami's arrival here in WWE, somewhat of a stutter step with some injuries, but now really
Wait
trying
a minute,
to hold on.
take a look at this. Buddy Murphy just took Kalisto from Itami. And now, Kalisto able to Hurricane Rana Murphy into the barricade. But guys, look who is standing. The only one standing is Itami.
Again, that brilliant strategy that I mentioned at the beginning. We can take another look.
Bam! And then boom!
The unintentional assist on the dive there.
Interesting strategy there from Itami, throwing two of his opponents into the ring instead of just one.
Itami into the cover, hooks the leg for the Cruiserweight title, and a kick out by Kalisto.
Not sure what his mindset is really at that
Another
point.
cover by Itami, hooks the leg again, and this time it's Tozawa kicking out. Again, Hideo Itami has never held gold in the WWE.
He's held a lot of gold elsewhere, especially in the land of the rising sun, his home country, and one of the most decorated champions in Japan.
And Itami just picking up the scraps at this moment, but back in comes the Cruiserweight champion. Again, Buddy Murphy does not have to be pinned, submitted, doesn't have to be a factor in the decision, and again, Murphy to the outside, and Itami continuing to pick apart the field in this matchup. Ooh, nice kick by Kalisto. And Kalisto now looking over, and he just launched Tozawa into Murphy. Heads up by Kalisto. And now Kalisto catching Itami. Cruiserweight Championship on the line here at the Royal Rumble. Kalisto able to get by. Springboard, catching Tommy again.
Mexico City Twister lands.
Kalisto is catching steam. He's got to capitalize on this.
Into the midsection. Kalisto hoists up, but Tommy rolls through. Kalisto into the cover for the title. Do we have a new champion? And Tommy again able to kick out at 2.
But Kalisto has the ring alone with Tommy to himself. That does not happen very often in a match like this. He's got to hit the move he's got to hit, which is that Salida del Sol.
Take a look at this again. Look at the height by Tozawa, and bam, right on the champion.
There's world-class awareness from the former Cruiserweight champion, Kalisto.
Kalisto's looking for the Salida del Sol. Murphy able to come in. And now, wait a minute. Up and over. Murphy catching Kalisto. Long dart into the midsection of Tommy.
But watch out, Murphy.
Look at Tozawa, perched high. Missile drop kick. And here's that elusiveness. Nigel by Tozawa. Snapping over Murphy. Tozawa could be closing in on becoming a 2-time Cruiserweight champion.
Cover.
Hooks the leg. Murphy kicks out.
Now Tozawa is taking significant inspiration from the Brian Kendrick, the wily veteran. See what he does here.
Tozawa looking out into the WWE Universe here at Chase Field. Tozawa to the top rope and Tommy, who knows Tozawa so well. Now has Tozawa perched high. What's on the mind of Tommy? Nice reversal.
Oh, that was not comfortable.
Nasty landing by Tommy.
Face first.
And Tozawa able to stop on a dime. Switches gears, flies to the outside.
You got to wonder if Tommy hit his head on that Hurricane Rana and if he's still in this one.
Now what's on Murphy's mind? Whoa, there goes Kalisto.
Question now, what does the champion do? Does he take a risk?
Murphy looking to take flight. This is what 205 Live is all about. And Nigel, the lengths that Buddy Murphy is willing to go to retain his Cruiserweight title.
Cruiserweight champion getting a full strike. Look at this. Keeping his eyes on all 3 opponents to the last second to make sure that he knocked every one of them down.
And Aiden, to your point earlier, now it's Buddy Murphy who's one-on-one with Kalisto in the ring.
You've got to take advantage of these opportunities. Like I said, they do not come along in a fatal 4-way wherever you're off.
What a Hurricane Rana. Murphy's been spiked. Kalisto, do we have a new champion here at the Royal Rumble? Again, Buddy Murphy just able to survive.
Well, Kalisto, in hooking both of those legs, was unable to get enough body weight across the shoulders of the champion.
And the will of the Cruiserweight champion is so much. He is not giving that title up without a fight.
Look at Murphy's out. Murphy might not realize where he's at this moment. And take a look at this one more time. Bam!
That impact was absolutely devastating, but really, as a former champion, there's got to be some confidence here. But let me ask you, Aiden, you've been in front of a crowd of this size. Got to be nervous.
Nerves are definitely a huge factor. This crowd, this mean of the universe is watching you. It all comes down to this.
And right now, Kalisto is looking for another high-impact move on Buddy Murphy. Tozawa able to come in, but now there's Tommy. And this is, to your guys' point, is what a fatal 4-way match is all about. As you can see, just over 10 minutes into the Royal Rumble. But we could be moments away from Buddy Murphy retaining his title. To retain. And Tozawa saving things. Just at the last moment.
Now the action is really starting to break down with all 4 superstars having expended a considerable amount of energy.
You talk about nerves. That's what these guys condition for, to fight those nerves.
And now it's Tozawa going to the outside. Champion is in his sights. High cross body, Murphy able to roll through, and Murphy again showcasing that strength. Wait a minute. Tozawa into the cover. And wait a minute, Tommy.
The veteran.
Tommy now into the cover. Here comes Kalisto, shoulders down. Near fall. Kalisto. Salida del Sol. That's it. We have a new champion. Hook of the leg. And how did Hideo Itami kick out?
because he had the heart, he had the will. He needs this more than anyone.
A fraction of a second kept that cruiserweight title around the waist of Buddy Murphy, who could just barely, as we take a look here, Salida del Sol lands perfectly. Murphy so exhausted and fatigued at this point, he couldn't even roll over to make the save.
All 4 superstars down. Cruiserweight Championship on the line here at the Royal Rumble. And there you see inside Chase Field, WWE Universe still filing in for the Royal Rumble event. But right now, guys, what a match.
All men coming to their feet. This could be anybody's matchup at this point.
Ooh, Murphy slugging it out. And now, look at the 2 who are standing. And look at it, Tommy and Murphy.
A flurry of strikes from Itami. Knee strike buckles Itami.
And Enziguri caught Itami.
And again Itami goes down.
Double super kick to Murphy.
Bye, Cuspid. The champion is down.
Kick.
Kalisto looking to take advantage. Kick. Connects with Tozawa. Kalisto picking up the pace. Nobody there. Tozawa connects. And now Tozawa getting lit up by the Cruiserweight champion. Oh, what a straight jab. Champions on rubber legs. Oh, what a jumping knee.
Every man here delivering their best strikes.
Kalisto gets caught.
Including that one.
And that is why Buddy Murphy is the Cruiserweight champion, but
Look at Tozawa and Kalisto. Both rolling to the outside. And now Murphy sets his sights on Itami. Up goes Murphy. Itami looking to put away the champion.
Murphy looked a little groggy there. He is now.
That back fist caught Murphy.
This could be it.
Nice reversal by Murphy. Oh, that knee connects. Oh! Itami's got to be out.
Cover the man.
Murphy.
He's got to put him away here.
He knows he has to lay it all on the line. Murphy's Law connects. Is this enough to retain the championship? Buddy Murphy, reign continues.
Here is your winner, and still the WWE Cruiserweight Champion, Buddy Murphy.
Guys, I've said it once, I'll say it again. What a match we just witnessed by the Cruiserweights of 205 Live.
Well, what a match, but what a Cruiserweight champion with the odds stacked heavily against him. Look here how Murphy at the last second, when he sees Kalisto coming, wham, right underneath the jaw.
Then Buddy Murphy would follow that up, a knee to Hideo Itami, and then the finishing touches, bam, on his masterpiece tonight, putting away the Japanese legend as Buddy Murphy continues to reign as the Cruiserweight champion. And guys, this is the question now. Can anyone stop the unstoppable on the road to WrestleMania?
Plenty of men tell you they will do whatever it takes to succeed. They could look you right in the eye and convince you that they are willing to endure any pain for a chance at forever. They lie. And yet you listen. My entire career, I have faced extreme pain, physical and mental, and I hurt people. I have hurt many, many individuals on my journey to the top of the food chain. Let me ask you a question. Where is Dolph Ziggler? Where is Kurt Angle? The Shield? Can you see John Cena? Because I can't. I don't care who's going to win between Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar. Winning the Royal Rumble match, it's not my destiny. It's a certainty. And when I win, I'm going to choose to face the Universal Champion at WrestleMania. And I am going to win that match too. Why? Because I'm Drew McIntyre. And I'm the king of the Raw Jungle.
A coming out party for Drew McIntyre in 2018, and you have to believe that 2019 could be his year. You see the clock. About 6 minutes remain before the Royal Rumble begins tonight here at Chase Field. in Phoenix, Arizona. And remember, if you haven't ordered the WWE Network yet, order it right now. Go to WWENetwork.com. This is going to be a night that you do not want to miss. And it all starts with the Royal Rumble matches themselves. Let's talk about the 30-woman Royal Rumble match. And Beth, you've been a part of this before.
I have been. This Royal Rumble match for the women. This is going to be the second time ever we've seen this. 30 women will be vying for an opportunity to challenge for the championship of their choosing. Who will outlast 29 other women and seal their WrestleMania dreams? It's what everybody got into this to do.
I'm looking forward to this next one. Two of the most skilled WWE superstars will clash over the WWE Championship. The phenomenal one, AJ Styles, will go one-on-one with Captain Planet over there, the new Daniel Bryan.
And then we've got Ronda Rousey, Olympian, Hall of Fame fighter, and she's lived up to all the hype, guys. Can Sasha Banks turn her trash talking into a victory and make this her moment and take home the Raw Women's Championship?
And then after a brutal beatdown on SmackDown Live, can Shane McMahon and The Miz live up to their nicknames of the best tag team in the world by dethroning the Bar and becoming the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions? And then another one, a true battle of David versus Goliath. The Beast, Brock Lesnar, will defend the Universal Championship against the extraordinary man who can do extraordinary things, Finn Balor.
Speaking of the man, the superstar that lit the women's division on fire, Becky Lynch is coming to town. And she has her sights on regaining the SmackDown Women's Championship as she challenges the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka.
And finally, the 30-man Royal Rumble match. We found out earlier tonight that John Cena, because of an injury, will not be in the match tonight, but Braun Strowman will replace him. How does that change the landscape, the mindset for the 29 other men live tonight in the men's Royal Rumble match? And Sean, I'm going to start with you. You've won this before a couple of times. Who are you looking at as not just your favorite, but to really make a statement here tonight in this match?
Look, I'm going to tell you, I'm looking at, and my favorite, when you just saw him, is Drew McIntyre. The desire, the passion, the hunger. I know very 90s of me, but he's got the eye right now. I mean, I'm telling you, Drew McIntyre is my guy, the Scottish stud. That's who I'm going with. And just like 2019, I believe is going to be his year.
You know, I'm going to go with a guy who's riding a huge wave of momentum right now, and that's the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion, Bobby Lashley. I mean, this guy's got the power, the athleticism, he's got the confidence of being the IC champion, and also he's got Lio Rush with him. I mean, there's another guy I'm looking forward to make a statement, and that's Titus O'Neil. I mean, I just hope he makes it into the ring. Actually, no, I don't. I think I'd like to see that again.
I think we'd all love to see that T-shirt again as well. On the women's side, Beth, what are you looking towards?
I am a little biased on the women's side, but I got to say, I am going to go with Natalya. Experience, grit, guts comes a long way, and I know there's nothing more that Natalya would want to do than to honor her late dad, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and go to WrestleMania.
All right, quickly, let's hit on a couple of other matches. The Universal Championship, Brock Lesnar. We know he's a main event player. Sean, you've been able to step in the ring with so many different sizes of men. What does Finn Balor have to do tonight to compete?
Well, again, as you stated, it's David and Goliath. But I got to tell you, I had relatively decent success. You know, a lot of times big guys have trouble with us smaller guys. And Brock Lesnar, you're not going to match his power. Everybody knows that. I'm believing Finn Balor. It sounds very cliche. You wear that big man down, all those big men get tired. That's the key. The longer this thing goes, more advantage Finn Balor has, if you ask me.
What do you make of that?
I agree with you on that. And, you know, Finn is obviously coming in with a game plan, and he's got incredible stamina. And he's looked fantastic against other big men, including Braun Strowman. So he definitely knows how to play this. However, I'm not going to bet against Brock in this situation. I'm going to go with the power.
Beth, we have about 30 seconds. This is the 1-year anniversary of Ronda Rousey making her debut a year ago at the Royal Rumble. Can she walk out tonight the Raw Women's Champion?
Hey, I said it before. I think Ronda's proved to all of us the hype is real. I mean, she's knocked down the door with authority and opened it up for all of us. But I do have to say, my heart goes to Sasha Banks, the boss. I think tonight's her night. I think she's the hungriest dog in the fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing Sasha become the new Raw Women's Champion.
There's so many special matches here tonight. Beth, Sean, David, thank you so much. Enjoy the show here tonight. At the end of the day, it's all about 30 men, 30 women tonight. They have the biggest opportunity of their lives. A chance to main event WrestleMania. The first and most outlast 29-other superstar in the most unique match that WWE has to offer. Buckle up. The Royal Rumble starts now.
Asuka is champion!
She's on borrowed time until the man comes around to settle the score.
Carmella taps, Becky Lynch gets Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title. We get the power!
Asuka, one of the most lethal ladies walking the earth today.
Enough talk, Becky Lynch is ready to fight.
The Empress, the man, and the Royal Rumble.
WWE Royal Rumble pay-per-view streaming live on WWE Network tonight, 7.